Hello there and welcome to Mark Carl's Hypnotherapy. Today we have George. Afternoon, George.
Afternoon, Mark.
Yep, it's great to have you on board. Thank you for doing this. I always say this at the beginning of all my audios. These are really important because what you say today may resonate with somebody and help them. So George and I have been working together. We had one session together, and George had a few problems going on. And he's got a great story for us. So, George, why don't you tell us what was going on with you?
What was going on? What a question. Um, I was in a current state where um, I was so in myself at certain times of my relationship and so self-doubting, so self-conscious, so unconfident, um, and just overall almost miserable. And it was down to a lot of my mind was telling myself I'm not as good as my Mrs. previous relationships. I'm not as good looking. I'm not as financially stable. I'm not as good as in bed. I'm not as good in any aspects of relationship compared to her exes. And it got me so down. It affected my relationship in bed. It affected my relationship day to day. It affected my relationship of the weekend with just me and my missus. And I realised that it was affecting us. Okay, you could take the burden on for say 6 months to a year, but even she started noticing it just after the 6 months. She started noticing it, and then you bring in both yous into it, and you bring in everybody else around down with you. So um, I knew I had to get something sorted because it wasn't fair to keep thinking like that for myself, but also for my partner. So like as an example, we'd be in bed and I would automatically think about one of her past partners who I haven't even seen him, and I would paint this picture that he's got an amazing body, he's got money, he wears nice clothes, he drives a nice car, he's great in bed, and it would consume me for hours on end to the point where she'd say, "You've been so quiet. What's the problem?" So that's just as an example of how bad it got, and bearing in mind I didn't even know the person. And I I just looked online for what would be the best counselling for me. And there's all different types of counselling you could look at, but the CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, really thought, right, this one's the one to give a go. And within 2 days of seeing Mark's name, I phoned him or WhatsApped him. I can't remember. I think it was WhatsApped him. He replied within 24 hours, probably within 12 hours. He said to me, right, let's book in a almost like just an opening, an introduction into what we was going to do.
Yeah.
And even after that, I was like, this can help. This can help me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Booked in a session with him, and as Mark said, you book in for a result, not just a set an hour. That's all what's going to happen. You book in a result, which was different as well because time is money, and the way the current state of affairs are, you expect someone to charge you per hourly or whatever. But when he said to me, "No, I charge you for a result," I thought that's a big difference for me. There's a big difference. So anyway, booked the first session in with Mark. Let's say it was 2 or 3 weeks after our introduction. Booked that in, and that lasted about 2 hours 35, 2 hours 40, and it went as quick as anything, as you can imagine. And I afterwards, I felt quite tired, quite drained, and a bit confused about what was going to happen next, and how's it going to be after this, or is it all a miracle? Who knows? You click your fingers and it's done. And sitting here today, that was now 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, that first session, and I would say I'm as good as done. I've had one session, and I don't get the negative thoughts. Or I get a negative thought, but it's a passing thought. Comes in and it's out just as quick. I, while I'm in bed with my partner, I don't think about it. While I'm away with a partner, I don't think about it. If I'm around a swimming pool thinking I see someone that's got more money, better body, better looking, I used to think that like my partner would go with that person. But then I sit here now and I haven't had that thought at all. I've not had one of them thoughts. I'm more confident in every aspect of life. I can walk into a room now with my partner and not have to worry about anyone else. It's me and her, and that's it. I can get into bed with my partner and not have to worry about anything else. I can I can go away without my partner, or my partner can go away without me, and I don't have to think about. I don't have to worry. I know she's mine and I'm hers. There's nothing else to worry about.
Beautiful.
And that was after one session, 2 hours and 40 minutes of my life that you pay a set fee for, and it is the best personal investment I've ever done for myself.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And to clarify on that, that passing thought you were talking about, the thought of an ex might come in and go all of a sudden. I like to put that down as after the work is done, every now and again, your subconscious mind will do a systems check. And it's essentially going, if we send him this particular thought or picture, how's he going to react? And when he goes, no, not for me, tick, thank you very much, that's working fine. But there may come a time in a few months where you might dwell on it a bit more and think, well, do you know what? That guy really does work out. All right, gents, we've got work to do here. Just tidy that up a bit. It's like taking your car into a garage to have the brakes done. The brakes get done, but they don't just give you the car back. They'll probably take it for a test run as well, just to make sure everything's okay. And they'll give you the advice. Just watch your first 500 miles. Okay, be careful. So yeah, absolutely right. And the other thing is this, it's hypnosis that we did. It wasn't CBT. Although it can seem like that because what I do is something called conversational hypnosis, where I'll ask one question and that's what's the problem? And the client has some funny stuff go on, don't they? They just, yep, 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 talking away. It's this, that, and the other. And suddenly there's this epiphany moment that appears, but it's not by accident. Do you remember all that? Do you remember the session itself?
Yeah, Mark. And I remember you just asked a question. And what really done it for me was you'd ask a question, and I would sit there almost in a daze, or almost just, and it constantly in my head was that question. And in the end, you keep asking yourself that question, I found. And in the end of it, you think, I found the answer myself. So as an example, Mark might ask me, why do you think like that? Why do you think that XYZ is better than you? And that might just be that one question. And then you ask it of yourself again and again and again. And then you think, oh no, my partner chose me. Partner chose me and sticks to and decides to stay with me. Why would she choose anybody else? Why are they in the past?
Exactly.
And yeah, it is almost an epiphany moment when you once I was done the session. As I said, I was slightly tired, a bit drained. There's a lot that's just gone on,
Mm,
and then when you start to look at it, I remember the next day I was driving to work and I thought I'm gonna be. I was driving to work, sorry, and I thought to myself, I don't feel a lot different. I don't feel a lot different. There's nothing really going on here. But then as the old traits used to come back in at certain times or certain triggers, they don't now. It's not until after you look back and think, it has worked.
yeah.
There it is.
There it is. And
There it
that
is.
time, yes, the day after, and ladies and gentlemen, this is really important. Thank you for bringing this up, George. The next day, he was in his car thinking to himself, "Oh, I don't feel very different. There's not much going on, is there really?" When we finished that session, I told George that I wanted him to go to bed and have a kip or have a lie down for 20 minutes or so. The most important part to this is the fact that when I walk out the door, that is when the therapy actually begins. Because when I've asked him to go and have a lie down for 20 minutes, there's something called a processing period. And during that processing period, which can last a number of hours, days, weeks, months, or even a year or so, who knows? Depends on the individual and what's been going on. The
Yeah.
mind is working out with everything that's been spoken about and that he's brought up, it now starts putting it all together. And as I was taught, it's like trying on a suit. You go in, you're trying a pair of jeans and you put on a shirt and you think, that doesn't quite work. So you change the jeans and you go from slim to straight. You think, still not quite right. But then you think, hang on, you take the shirt off and you put on this great jumper. Bingo. And that's the way it works. It puts it all together. And that's what it's been doing.
Yeah.
So it, one session, you're all good.
Yeah. What more would I want?
What more could you possibly want?
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Um, George, anything else that you want to pass on at all?
What would I pass on? What would I pass on? I tell you what I would honestly pass on. Do it sooner. Just I wish I'd have done it sooner. I wish I would have not been so embarrassed about the thoughts I had, and the dark thoughts and the manipulative to myself thoughts and the self or the unconfident thoughts and because it got so bad that it affected mine and my partner's relationship. If I'd have nipped it in the bud sooner and dealt with it sooner, realised that it can be dealt with, realised that I can talk to people about it, realised that there is help out there, I would have done it probably on the same day I'd have bloody had them bad thoughts.
There you go. Ladies and gents, just remember, whatever you're going through, you're not born with those problems. It's something you've opened a door and you've allowed something in. It's not a natural part of your DNA. We're not born scared of spiders, but we're taught to be scared of spiders when mum or dad run screaming from it when we're
Yeah,
little. So on that note, I suppose there's nothing more to add other than George. Thank you so much for this wonderful testimonial. It's been an absolute joy working with you.
thanks.
Um, so it remains for me to say, ladies and gentlemen, as I say on every video, you can find me on Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. My website is Mark Carter. Mark Carter Hypnotherapy, www.markcarterhypnotherapy.com. You can find me on there. Loads of testimonials for you to watch. And also, finally, I do audios now. I do hypnosis audios, which for those who may find things a little bit stretched with finances at the moment, especially with what's going on in the world, there's some audios on there. They're there to just fill in the gaps, as it were, just to keep you going. So it could be sleep, anxiety, revision exams, just basic toxic relationships and stuff like that. Have a look on www.markcarterhypnotherapy.com, my website, find the shop and you'll find it there. George, thank you again for this.
Thanks, Mark.
It's been an
Thank you
absolute
very much.
joy. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Carter of Mark Carter Hypnotherapy, wishing you the very best mental, emotional, and physical health. Good night.
Thanks.